Oh boy. Oh boy. Can someone just tell me in the chat that the sound's working? What a disaster of an evening. A complete disaster of an evening. Doomers be dooming. Thank you, Michael Shane. I'm wearing glasses until the puffiness from my eyes subside from all the tears that I've been crying for about the past 15 minutes or so. For the past 15 minutes or so, I've been weeping like a little schoolgirl because your New Jersey Devils, needing a big win, needing it for the general, with everything on the line, how bad this team has performed overall. I mean, let me take a step back. I mean, they've been competitive in some games, but the record has been atrocious. And we needed to avoid being swept by the Leafs in our third and final attempt on the season. Sheldon Keefe's homecoming, and the boys go into Toronto and lose a painful one, lose an absolutely painful one. The new loss of the season. I know people have said, I say this a lot. I don't say it after every game, but I say it after a lot of them. This is clearly, given the team's recent slide, trying to avoid being swept by the Leafs, Sheldon's homecoming, all of those reasons. And the biggest one, we had 3 leads in this game, my friends. Not 1, not 2, 3 leads. A 1-0 lead that was blown, a 2-1 lead that was blown, a 3-2 lead that was blown before we lose once again in overtime. Auston Matthews is quickly becoming one of my most hated players in the entire National Hockey League. This guy just is a devil killer. In that last game at the Rock, he had that breakaway to end it. He had that insane snipe tonight, and it's just, man, it really stings. It's depressing. We'll get into all of it. Oh, man. All right. Well, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit the subscribe button, smash the like, pour yourself a stiff drink, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And win or lose, we booze, guys. This is Tears of Sorrow vodka, the great Martin Brodeur vodka, Dirty Devil vodka, smooth as hell. And I am going to be pounding this for quite a while. Cheers to all my Devils fans. We suffered a miserable one tonight. I am not going to sugarcoat it by any stretch. Tonight was painful. It was absolutely abysmal. And knowing the stakes that were on the line and coming out and blowing 3 separate leads, the general deserved better. Jacob Markstrom, once again, standing in there, standing tall for your New Jersey Devils. Jacob Markstrom deserved much better. And, you know, it is what it is. Terrible loss. Yeah, I mean, wow. I will say I am now officially concerned. I'm not panicked. Like someone pointed out, I haven't been able to see a lot of the comments. You know, they're coming in hot. I guess, you know, I used to say that winning makes you guys very chatty, but painful losses like this make the Doomers very chatty. Cheers to all you guys. I'm going to be inebriated at some point here, but what a terrible loss. A terrible loss. And your New Jersey Devils, since that absolutely tragic, horrific, whatever happened on that Christmas break, since the Christmas break, your New Jersey Devils are 3-4-3, which is 9 points out of 20. The New Jersey Devils have been playing .450 points percentage, .450 points percentage hockey for 3 weeks now. The last 3 weeks, your New Jersey Devils are playing .450 hockey. And that ain't going to get it done. That is absolutely not going to get it done. Let's look at the game stats here. Yeah, Devils 24 shots on goal. Maple Leafs 41. Face-offs fairly close, 47.8% to 52.2% for the Leafs. Devils 2 for 3 on the power play. You got to give it to the power play. They did their thing. They delivered. But 1 for 2 for the Leafs. 14 hits to the Devils, not nearly enough. Got to be heavier, edgier, more violent. Tonight it was not. That was not the case whatsoever. Leafs with 25 hits. Devils 21 block shots. They did do a good job. They did block some big shots in some big moments, especially when the Devils were pinned deep. It seemed like there was several times we were pinned in for like 2 minutes. Guys got in lanes and blocked some big shots. 16 shots for the Maple Leafs. Block shots, rather. 15 giveaways to the Devils, too many. 17 giveaways to the Leafs. Devils with 2 takeaways. Leafs with 4 takeaways. And brutal. Another 3-point night for Jackhughes, just delivering a goal and 2 assists. Nico Hischier with a 2-goal night. Wow. I'm a little stunned right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little stunned. Blackatron, thank you for the super, sir. If Marky gets any better at playing that puck, they're going to shrink the trapezoid right back down. Shades of Marty. Yeah, Jacob Markstrom is a guy that does like to come out of the net. Sometimes it induces a heart attack for me. But tonight he did have some memorable ones where he got out, played the puck, and tried to push it up ice. Several plays. A couple of them, I think he's got to work on his placement a little bit. And I would love to see a photo or a video from Devils practice of Marty out there on the ice with him. I don't know if that's something he's ever done. But no greater person to pick the brain of about anything goaltending, but specifically coming out and playing that puck, because there was no one ever better to do it than the great Martin Brodeur. And Marky doing a little Marty impression tonight. I agree, Blackatron. Thank you for the super. Very much appreciated. Yeah, there was a couple times that Marky came out and I was like, oh, what are you doing? And then, he would flip it up the boards or, bank it off the boards, flip it towards a guy. Very active. Very active playing the puck. Jacob Markstrom was. And another game, 41 shots. This defense set an NHL record for 7 straight games with 20 shots allowed or less. And now we're just leaking chances left and right. Granted, the Maple Leafs have some weapons and they're one of the better teams in the league. I think that goes without saying. And with the top flight talent they have, but 41 shots. Yeah, Markey made 37 saves on 41 shots. Some of them very high danger. And without Jacob Markstrom, again, this is a regulation loss in my opinion. Devils definitely outplayed overall in the game. They had some moments, but they definitely got outplayed. I'm not going to say they were quite dominated, but I think they were outplayed by a margin where you were just teetering on domination. That last shift, or second to last Auston Matthews shift, maybe in the third period, was heart attack inducing. We were pinned in there so badly. It was shades of it. It reminded me very much of when the Devils had that shift of the year against the Blackhawks at the Rock before Jesper Bratt rocked the guy, and then the pass came to Jack and he scored. It was much like that. I believe they changed their forward group. We were so pinned in. They had time. They got all fresh legs on there. We had guys that were out there sucking wind, very tired. But overall, man, listen, when it comes down to it, obviously the loser point, and again, I say it every game now, right? We're in, this is the fourth straight overtime, which started off so promising. Or actually, no, sorry, that was before. Yeah, the Rangers lost in OT. Then we won that beautiful Tampa Bay game, and now a shootout loss against Florida and an OT loss against the Maple Leafs. It's just painful. We can't, loser points are better than losing in regulation, obviously, but there's something about, just constantly losing that's obviously not good for the standings, and it's not good for team morale. Like I said, 3-4-3 since Christmas, 9 points out of 20. That's .450 hockey, and that is tragic. Absolutely tragic, and something's got to give. People were saying, I'm not panicking. But am I officially concerned? Absolutely. Concern time is here, my friends. concern time is here. And while they were in all these games, obviously, if you're going to overtime, right in that, let's see. Yeah, 3-2. So we'll go back to 3-2 loss on January 4th against the Sharks, right in that game. 3-2 win over the Kraken, and they're all super close game, 1-goal games. It's crazy. 3-2 loss to the Sharks, 3-2 win over the Kraken, 3-2 overtime loss to the Rangers, 3-2 overtime win against the Lightning, 2-1 shootout loss to the Panthers, 4-3 overtime loss to the Leafs. I mean, the only, again, silver linings, I hate talking about it, as I think I saw a comment scroll by that, they're in the games and not getting dominated. But there's something to be said for when you're constantly in close games and you can't win. You have to start winning these games that are so close, especially with the forwards we have. It is a tragedy how bad we are at overtime with these guys. And it's just because, I've said the saying before, live by the sword, die by the sword. And, hats off to the captain, man. Oh, God, what a wasted effort by him. 2 goals tonight. He won the huge face-off in OT. We had the possession. Lukey boy rings one off the post. He has another good chance. They get possession. And then eventually a complete tragic change by, Luke and Dougie coming on, and breakaway city. I mean, you cannot, I could deal with losing, but to lose like that, where you give Nylander a just wide open breakaway with Dougie's trailing 20 feet behind him. I mean, my God. Oh my God. It's painful to constantly keep losing these games you're right in is just tragic. John Fay, yeah, assuming we are now in concerned mode, absolutely. Absolutely, it's time to be concerned. Not to make excuses, but we are definitely feeling the absence of Stefan Nason, the junkyard dog, in these games. His absence is clearly being felt. And hopefully he gets over this virus or whatever the hell he has sooner than later. But him alone, like last year, people were saying, we're one injury away from being completely screwed. And while I feel like that's not necessarily the case this year, a lot of us have been talking about, obviously, the elephant in the room of we need to improve the bottom 6. So then when you miss a guy like Nason, we are pretty thin overall at forward. And when one of the big guns goes down, it is a huge loss, especially in these last couple of weeks where we're struggling to score goals. And so all the problems get amplified. Everything is, fully out there to see. Nason would have been a huge help in a game like tonight. I thought we were going to see Hallen, and he got called up. We didn't see him play. Maybe he'll, he better be playing this weekend, at least one of the games. John Woodson, Nason didn't play. What did you expect to happen? I mean, the game was there for the win. The game was there for us to win, and we just couldn't do it. We couldn't hold on for that 5 minutes or whatever it was, 4.5 minutes. Couldn't hold on to win that in regulation. Auston Matthews sniped one, and then we had first crack, first possession in the overtime. Luke hits the post, and bad change, and that's it, man. Breakaway against, and it's over. Completely over. Gem card. Can Salayev and Yegorov come play for us? Is it too early? Way too early. They're not going to be here for at least 2-3 years apiece. Yegorov's going to go to college for probably 2 or 3 years at BU. And Salayev's in the KHL, I think, for a couple more years. Both of them still very young and, wouldn't push out one of our, NHL regulars. Yeah, this one really stings. I mean, obviously, I feel every loss, but a night like tonight with what was on the line, terrible. Alex, please start the show with how about those Devils? I need this. I can't do it, Alex. I cannot play what is normally joyous moment audio clips after a devastating loss. I just can't do it. Unhinged, we've been in a slide, but we have not been blown out or out of a game in how long? I guess that'd be the 3-0 Kings loss on January 1st. That would be the last one that, we were not really in. John Woodson, but let's keep putting Big Mac in there to be an enforcer. Lazar had him on a break and looked over. I was like, I'll dump the puck in and go for a change. Woodson, come on, man. You know better. McDermott wasn't winning or losing this game for us tonight. He played 4 minutes and 58 seconds, guy. on 4 minutes and 58 seconds. Unless you're putting some sniper in his place, anyone else we had was not going to be the difference between a win and a loss. Luke Perry, another terrible game. When will the relief come? Well, aside from improving the roster, I think a move has to be made to kind of send shockwaves. It's not just 4, 5, 6 games now. It's the body of work since that holiday break. And and not to get too whatever in the weeds here, but I thought Sheldon Keefe was entirely too giddy for my liking in the post-game press conference. I mean, your team is 3-4-3 since Christmas, and he was a little too positive overall. Not what I want to see, and I'm now starting to wonder whether he has the rage or whatever you want to call it to really crack the whip, because regardless of it being a close game or not, I'm tired of the silver lining and the moral victories. Yeah, we got the loser point. We blew this game 3 times. We had the lead 3 different times. 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. Given it was his homecoming, given we were winless against the Leafs on the season, this is the last game. With the streak we've been on, you got to win there. You got to win there, and the effort wasn't good enough. Being close, I'm sorry. What do they say? Being close is only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades. I mean, this is the NHL. Not a huge difference between wins and losses on some nights, and another night where they couldn't dig deep and win. Terrible. Just a disgusting loss. And like I said, it's the worst loss of the season by far. By far. Gem card Chile, step away from the ledge. I'm not on the ledge, but I'm pretty pissed. To me, this just shows, spineless characteristics. You have to find a way to win. Garrett, move Nemitz for a top 6. I mean, in theory, sure. I mean, I was going to bring this up or do a video about it. Maybe I still will do a deeper dive standalone video, but apparently number one, apparently he had 5 points for Utica last night, but he had some quotes with a Slovakian publication of some kind where there was, some interesting things that he had said that, it seemed like, obviously he's going to be frustrated, but at some point you kind of have to bite your tongue and not give the media this clickbait kind of shit to run with. And obviously some media did run with it. But one of the quotes, I wouldn't say I'm an ultra offensive defenseman. I'd love to have a balanced role in the NHL, playing both offensively and defensively. That's what suits me best. I believe I've proven multiple times that I belong in the NHL. I just have to wait for another chance and grab it when it comes. Sometimes it feels like NHL games were easier compared to AHL. The farm league is really tough with grinding, battling. And then finally, the most pointed of his quotes, it's hard to say. It's still too early to request a trade. If this situation continues, it will have to be addressed. But for now, this is how it stands. I would say Dem's fighting words. That sounds like a guy who's very frustrated, obviously, and maybe on the precipice of causing a stink like we saw Askarov do in Nashville, which kind of forced Barry Trotz to trade him to the Sharks. I'm not saying that is the case, but, it's not too encouraging to see reports like this. I'm sure it didn't make Fitz feel too good. And by too good, I mean, he's probably like, what is this kid doing? And maybe that's his plan. But I wouldn't just trade him for any, getting back to the trade thing, I wouldn't trade him for any top 6. I've talked about this several times. I would trade him if it was to bring in a guy that was both obviously an impact player, but a win now guy who would be around for a little while. I have no interest in cashing in a guy like Nemitz, who's, 21 or whatever the hell he is, to cash him in for like a rental or a guy that's a little bit older. He's 20. He's not even 21. Nemitz is 20. And he could, I do believe he's going to be a very good defenseman. So I'm not going to just trade him for the sake of trading him because he cried to the reporters. If you could get a high impact guy, again, I keep using the example, Brady Tkachuk, like a guy like that, no brainer. Now, I do think the Brady dream's dead. I haven't talked about him forever. As long as Ottawa's relevant, I think he's going to, be on the sinking ship there. But if you could get any sort of younger impact player that has some term with a good value cap hit, I think it's something you have to consider. But I don't know, that also depends on the thing we don't know about, where a lot of us maybe read too much into the quotes from Fitzy about trying to re-sign Kovacevic. But maybe, he will talk to his agent. Maybe he knows that that's not a possibility, right? So if Kovacevic doesn't seem like it's going to work out long-term, then it changes everything. If Fitz believes that Kovacevic will be here for a while, it gives me more reason to believe that Nemitz might be on the block. Now, obviously, you could try to trade Siegenthaler, which will require, maybe pushing a guy to their offside. Dougie Hamilton, obviously, is a name that keeps coming up, even though I don't think, they're going to be looking to trade him either. There are ways to open up a spot on defense. Now, is it going to be a direct plug-in for Nemitz on the right side? I don't think so. So you might have to flop a guy over at a position. Whatever it is, there are options there. I think there's a lot of information we're not privy to that would kind of determine that. Like I said, I think Kovacevic being the biggest question mark. If Fitz really thinks he's going to be here, then maybe it's something you look at a little bit more. But, wow. I would trade him, but it would have to make sense. And again, I'm not going to do it for a guy like Brock Nelson or some of the other names that have been floating out there. We'll see how it all plays out. But I do think now I'm not at panic mode, but it's definitely cause for concern time. And I think a shakeup needs to come sooner than later, because this has just been unacceptable. What's going on, Maria? Another line change leads to OT loss. Terrible change. Gem card, I think Elias needs to come out of retirement. I think Elias on any line would, have at his whatever age he is now, have more points than some of the guys that have been playing. James, why do we have 0 young forwards in the AHL? We do, and we've given them short auditions, but no one really got an extended one. Hallinen's up now. I hope we see him this weekend. I thought Legary played well when, when he was up. There is options. John Woodson, everyone crying for trades. 85% of our top players can't be moved, and we have very little trade assets. This is the team we got for a couple of years. I disagree. Firmly disagree. You could obviously make a couple moves. I'm not saying to make earth-shattering ones. Alex, Ace, do we start Markey again? Like, F it, send it. I think there's the back-to-back. He's not playing both, and so I did, for those of you that saw my kind of January outlook video, I had hoped for, it was my ideal starting rotation and what I hoped the team would do. So far, I've been 2 for 2. It was, Markey at home against Florida, Markey on the road against Toronto. And now I fully expect to see Jake Allen Saturday against the Flyers, and then see Markey Sunday afternoon at home against the Senators. Michael Shane, the new Dos Equis commercial. I don't always drink, but when I do, it's because the Devils lost. Yeah. Win or lose, we booze, guys. Ritter Engine, call up Nemitz ASAP. Who are you sitting out on the defense, Ritter Engine? Who are you sitting out for Nemitz? Let me know. Gem card, love you, step away from the ledge. I'm not at the ledge. I'm just very disappointed and very upset. It's a very devastating loss. You keep going into these battle games, and it's like they're not up for it. I don't know. Yo Holmes says, got a point. I ain't scared. Woodson said Hallinan can't play because Mac is better. I think it probably had more to do with, the travel and whatever else. He may not have went there till today. I don't know all the details of it. Gem card, Nature's caused this. He changed the future by faking an injury. This is facts. Yeah, it does kind of seem like that was the fortunes sort of started to go the other way after that game. It is true. It was a big part of the slide. John Woodson, it's not the defense. The offense can't stay in the zone for more than 10 seconds. It is true. We had like maybe one or two remotely sustained possessions in the ozone tonight. I mean, maybe 20 seconds. I feel like the Leafs had us in there for 45 seconds regularly. And then obviously that late third period one was like 2 minutes. It was an all-out assault. I thought for sure they were going to score. It was frightening shit. Very frightening stuff. Why weren't we hitting? It's a great question, Maria. I would love to know. I would love to know where the heavier, edgier, more violence, where was it tonight? A lot of people hating on Timo, which is still ridiculous. But they will stay with that narrative till the end of time because they made their mind up on him a long time ago. So they'll just keep talking about it. Nico tonight, 3 shots, 4 blocks, 2 hits, and an assist. For the Timo haters. Great game by Timo. Unhinged, allowed too many shots third period alone. Get back to that December defense. I'm now starting to wonder if that record-setting defense, if the case is now getting changed from a missing persons to a homicide. I feel like that defense may forever be dead and gone. Discarded somewhere in the woods, somewhere else. It was a missing persons. My biggest fear is that it is now officially ruled a homicide and we'll never see it again. I mean, if we haven't seen it back by now, when is it going to happen? Alex Russo, SST, serious question. Does a Devils loss suck for you or make you feel vindicated? I think it's option B. We've talked about people want to be right more than they care about anything else. And so the I told you so's and I knew this and I said this, it's all crazy. I'm not going to get wrapped up in it too much. But it is painful. It's a painful loss. And when you blow 3 leads in a single game, and again, given the stakes of the game, trying to avoid the sweep, trying to get back on track, trying to win one for Sheldon in his homecoming, it's tragic. It's tragic. Sean House, we need a better backup goalie too because I don't think Allen is going to cut it. Honestly, Sean, at this point, Allen is the least of my worries. The backup goalie is the least of my worries, my man. There's just so many other things to wish for better. Terrible. Ritter engine 41 shots on goal against is acceptable. Absolutely. Skywalking. Should the NHL ban cherry picking? Well, they kind of have. You can only cherry pick to a certain extent. Dimitri, 4th line center, please. I'd take that. I'd take a 3rd line center. There's a lot of things. Traveling Devil 76. Devils don't know how to close out a game. And that's another thing. It's like when we have the lead, where is the killer instinct like to just lock it down, step on their throats, and snuff the life out of them? End the game. It is true. Unless we're up by like several goals, it feels like no lead is safe anymore. And it's unfortunate. That Auston Matthews play, man. Wow. Painful. I mean, you tip your cap to the guy. I mean, that was a snipe of a shot. But you got to try to, avoid him getting that kind of time and space in that situation of the game. London, cheers, Ace. I want to die. That makes 2 of us, London. Cheers. Luke Perry, they were dominated tonight. I don't know if it was quite domination, but it was very close. I would say it was a hair under domination. George, the coach, very quickly went 0-3 against his old team. Emily, we're still in a playoff spot, but if we play like this in the playoffs, disappointing. We need to switch something up. Yeah, they need to trade they need to switch up a lot of stuff. It's been rough sledding right now. I'm just scanning the comments. There's so much dooming here. Got to try to move Mercer. We need more size. Yeah, but to me, it's almost like if you move Mercer, it's like one step back, one step forward. Like, okay, even if you trade him for an upgrade, right, on offense, you didn't fill another spot. You just upgraded. We not only could we use upgrades, we need additional to upgrade what's already here. So for me, listen, if the right deal came along, I would consider it, sure. But I just look at it as, one step forward, one step back. Like, I'm looking for, guys to be brought in that complement the existing roster players, because we're already thin at forward, right? So if you trade Mercer, it's like, okay, yeah, you upgraded it, but that doesn't, our number of what you would deem NHL playoff roster caliber players doesn't change. And so I'm looking to trade future pieces, picks, prospects, whatever it is, to get win now pieces. But who knows? Maybe, there's a whole lot to it. I hope that Fitz still believes in the group, and operates as a win now, general manager come deadline time. Red light video incoming, maybe soon, not quite yet. Nico is consistent and great. I don't know how he isn't on the lineup for 4 nations. So the only nations they had were, USA, Canada, Sweden, Finland. Nico is Swiss, and his nation is not part of the tournament, and therefore he cannot play in the tournament, but he certainly will be in the Olympics next winter. Yeah, good point, Luke. Hall's loss has now become an issue. Depth is not there at all. Exactly. We're playing with that Hall. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, very thin at forward. You're missing a guy like Hall and Nason, and it's like, what are we doing here? Just scanning the comments, there's so much dooming. The dooming is crazy. Luke Perry, those 3 losses against the Cali teams looking real bad right now. Of course. You look back and it's just the story of what coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda, like struggling against bad teams, playing better against better teams, but still not coming out with the win when you need it. And tonight was a brutal one. This one really, really stings. The Panthers one sucked in the shootout, but this was to have the lead 3 different times. 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. London, I fell to my knees and cried when Nylander got the puck in OT. Yeah, I was hoping Markey could have came up with one more big one and bailed us out. But again, how much more do you want this guy to do? I mean, my God, 41 shots against. Insane. Luke, Devils have turned into the Islanders with the overtime losses. Yeah, I think last year they had like the record, right? Or the year before. It was either last year or the year before. They had like an insane amount of overtime losses. Fentanyl Floyd, if it wasn't for Markstrom, we'd be looking forward to the draft lottery. I don't know if it'd be quite that bad, but for anyone who ever said a negative peep about Jacob Markstrom, deposit your apologies in the comments and in the chat. Because without Jacob Markstrom, we may not have won a damn game since weeks ago. Oh, we got a trade proposal. Let's see. Hall of Bastian Nemitz and next year's first for JT Miller, $2 million retained. I don't think I like that, but let me just see something. Oh, boy. He's making his cap hits $8 million, and he's in year 2 of a 7-year deal. I'll tell you what, just because of the cap savings, I think I would do that deal. I don't think the Canucks would. To retain $2 million for this year and 6 more would be insane. Or this year and 5 more. Let me see. He's this season and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. He's 30. What is he, 31 right now? The screen has got me all crazy. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I can't say definitively I'd do that, but because of the in a situation like that with the cap money, it'd be worth looking at. But I feel like, oh no, I forgot about the first. No, I'm definitely not doing that deal. Definitely not doing that deal, Josh, with the first. No way. Now, if you swap the first out for a second, then I think you really got to start considering it. But I think Nemitz is going to be a star. I really do. It's just unfortunate the way this is all playing out. George, I think Jake starts on Saturday. Roland, the team can't win close games. How can we expect any playoff success if we can't win tight games? It's a very good question. It's a very good question. Word of the night, frustrating. I agree, Max. Ryan Fisher, when are we going to let McDermott fight somebody? I mean, no one probably wanted to fight him. I don't know that anyone was telling him not to fight tonight. I feel like we're way overdue for one. Jay Snow, I've watched tons of other teams. We have to be the worst ozone team in the NHL. We can never cycle a puck. I don't know if the worst, but the lack of sustained possession is a little bit of a pain point. Max, I think a lot of the Devils are sick. They looked very sluggish toward the end. It could be. It could be, but at some point you got, if you're that sick, then don't play. Let a healthy guy play or find a way to win. It's just very frustrating. John, what are your thoughts about Nemitz voicing frustration or article playing in the AHL? I think I talked about this before. I don't know when this comment was in relation to that, but it could be potentially a messy situation. It could be, but I think a lot of the chess maneuvering is going to come down to what Fitz has in store for Kovacevic and if he thinks we're going to be able to keep him or not. Insane Pollock, January seems to be the season slump month. Oh, it certainly is. Max, Ace, I don't know if this was discussed. That penalty for goal number 2 against was absolutely disgraceful. Literally so bad, cost us the game. Goal number 3, Matthews is going to Matthews. Yeah, that was the penalty on Siegs, I think. That was pretty weak. Matthews was driving the net, and Siegs was there with somebody else. It must have been Kovacevic, and kind of skated over the. Yeah, it was just. I thought he kind of dove there, and they capitalized on the chance. Really sucked. Vince, Siegs hadn't called for the BS penalty, shifted momentum, and that won the Leafs the game. F this woes, Devils BS. Devils earned their point. Leafs were given theirs. At some point, we got to stop blaming the refs, even though they are, in my opinion, playing an active role in a lot of these losses, whether it's waving off a goal that should have stood or, giving Timo a major and kicking him out of a game after Natchez dove like he was shot by a gun. Wild stuff. Wild stuff. Devin G, I know he became a fan fave, but lately maybe swap Nemitz for Kovacevic. Like, what was supposed to happen this season? Well, what was supposed to happen was Kovacevic was supposed to be a 7th defenseman. Luke and Pesce were injured. He looked great in preseason, looked great in training camp. He got on that plane to Prague. Nemitz had an opportunity to play. It's not like he straight up stole Nemitz's spot. Nemitz played some games. And when it came back to Luke returning, or I guess Pesce came back second. So, yeah, I think when it was time for Pesce to return, a defenseman had to come out of the lineup. Yeah, Nemitz played 9 games. When someone had to get plucked out for Pesce, they said, that's it for now, Nemitz. See you in Utica. And here we are. Salvatore, I think the quote is looking more to next season. If he's on year 3 in the AHL as a number 2 overall pick, then I see his frustration. Trade Dougie in the offseason and we'll be fine. Nemitz just had a 5-point game. His value is getting high, says Max. Max says Nemitz in a second first for O'Reilly. I like O'Reilly, but is Dougie is Fitzy going to trade a guy like Nemitz? You know, O'Reilly's 33 years old. Like, really, it is short-sighted to trade a guy like Nemitz for a guy like him. Don't get me wrong. I love O'Reilly, but you're really pushing your chips in the middle. I don't think Fitz has that in him, and I don't know that I would want him to have that. You know, you're talking about a guy that would be your third-line center. I mean, listen, he's a perfect third-line center, but to give up a guy like Nemitz that could have potentially an illustrious 15-year career ahead, that's a lot. Here, someone says way too high. Alex says, Max, that's wholly overpay, my dude. Insane Pollock, heard the Nemitz thing was getting mistranslated a bit. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be the spin, right? They're going to be like, no, it was a language barrier. That's not what he said. That's not what he meant. But I'm pretty sure it's pretty damn close to what he said. But again, obviously, everyone's going to run with it, look into it more. I think he was voicing his frustration. I don't think he was trying to, like, demand a trade. But when you give an inch with quotes like that, everything's going to snowball. And as a professional athlete, you have to know the game. People are waiting for shit like this. Everyone just putting in guys they want to jettison off the team. A lot of that. Insane Pollock says something tells me it's Allen Saturday and Markey Sunday. That would be the logical. That would be the logical usage of the goalies, for sure. Crossy, bench Dougie for a game or two and give Nemitz another shot. Oh man, that would be interesting. I don't know that we're going to see any guys like that ever get benched. Salvatore says Luke will never be held accountable because of his last name. Anyone still want to give Luke $8 million? SST, no one wants to give him the $8 million, but when his deal gets announced, SST, I promise you, and I have the screenshots from you, Luke is going to get between $7 and $8 million. It's a guarantee. For anyone who doesn't think that, you're nuts. You're completely nuts. Yo, Holmes, what's going on? Kovacevic may be shipped. I like the guy, but Fitz could flip him for someone decent right now. Plus, we have Nemitz, Haddock, Casey. I don't like the idea. I definitely don't like the idea at all. I like Kovacevic. I think he should be here long term. I'd rather trade someone else than him. But if you ship Kovacevic for forward help, Yo, Holmes, then who's the defenseman you're putting in his place? Is it going to be Nemitz? Are you doing this pre-playoffs? Or well, yeah, obviously you're talking about pre-playoffs because Kovacevic is an unrestricted free agent. So you're willing to trade Kovacevic and then throw Nemitz in there? Collect records. I was big. Sorry, whoever I missed this. Blackatron, thank you again, man. I missed this because I'm so caught up in the comments here. Like and subscribe, you savages. Yeah, thanks. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. I mean, wow. It was a thumbs down night for your New Jersey Devils, but can I get a thumbs up at least? And a subscribe maybe if you're not subscribed? The special projects department, though, let me tell you something. Let me just talk about this for a minute because it momentarily pulls me away from the reality of what happened tonight and where this team has been playing as of late. The special projects department of running with the Devils. Some insane projects. Some truly insane projects in the works that I look forward to sharing with all of you when the time is right. But wow. What a tragic game. What a tragic game. So much dooming in the comments. My God. I'm just wading through the insane amount of doom. London, only way we're getting Quinn is when his contract's up, and if he wants to, LOL, the Canucks would never give him up. Yeah, no. I think when he's a free agent, maybe he comes here, but outside of that, they're not going to trade him here. Wolf Rockin', what's up? Yo, hey, sorry I'm late. Another overtime loss. This absolutely sucks, brother. Was Nason still out? Yeah, Nason's still sick. Didn't travel with the team, and we missed him dearly tonight. Missed him dearly tonight. Dimitri, where's Scott Stevens? Can this legend not be brought back to guide in some capacity of the defense? His stare alone can impose action. Scotty's got plenty of money, and I'm pretty sure he's enjoying retirement. I don't think he wants anything to do with hockey whatsoever. I don't think he wants anything to do with hockey whatsoever. Sean, I think we need a better backup goalie. He's not going to cut it playoff time. Well, he's not going to play in the playoffs. So, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about in case of an injury, then that's a whole different story. But Allen's not going to see any playoff games. Go Boro, would you touch Stamkos at all if he gives up the Nash experiment and the deal was doable? I wanted Stammer really bad in the summer. I thought he was going to sign for much less. There's no way I take on Stammer now without massive retention. They paid him $8 million a year. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Listen, I love Stammer and I think he could help us, but $8 million a year is borderline lunacy. When it got announced, I was like, my God, he's 34 years old. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to dump him yet. He's year one. He's got 14 goals and 14 assists for 28 points, rocking that minus 12. Yeah, Stammer gives you a lot of options in the lineup, but $8 million, hard pass for me unless they were retaining some crazy amount and we didn't have to give up a lot to get him. I would love Stammer. I just don't see it being realistic at this juncture. I think, Nashville tries to figure out what the hell went wrong and kind of retool for next year. Jack, what's going on? Jack went to this game and got to witness this heartbreak live. Back in the hotel now. Glad they got a point in that effort. Have to get a bottom six defensive-minded center. That's the first move the team needs to make. I don't know. It just seemed like the intensity was not there. The intensity was not there, and they need to figure it out. Alex, Devils have me packing the F out of my lip with Zins. I'm buzzing, baby. Man. Devin says Casey up, Covey down. Covey was great, but D needs a shakeup. That's never happening, guys. They're not going to just plug Casey in for Kovacevic. There's no way. I would be beyond shocked if that ever happened. London, we're always playing our worst against bad teams and our best against better teams. Yeah, we play down to the competition and play up to the better teams. Oh, John Woodson, get lost, bro. Vezina goalies don't give up a short side snipe with under 5 minutes to go in the game. There's nothing you could do there, man. That was an insane shot. Captain Mafungo with some reality. Markstrom stood on his head pretty much the entire game. This loss is not on him. Absolutely agree. The loss, Jacob Markstrom is the last guy you name on who if you're looking again to point the blame at somebody, it's certainly not Jacob Markstrom. He was the reason they were in this game. We easily could have got squashed in this one too. JT Miller is the competitor, might be a D-bag, but this team needs someone to kick them in the ass. He's a fiery guy. I'll always take on guys like that. If you're a guy like that wants to win, you have a little nastiness to you, come join the New Jersey Devils, because we're still, in my opinion, one or two guys like that shy of ideally what you would want heading into the playoffs. I'm just scanning here. SST, and if Matthews scored 5 hole, you'd still be saying Brodeur would have saved it. Who is that? I don't know who that's. Who is that aimed towards? It was a pure snipe. Oh, SST, are you saying that was like a good goal? You're not blaming Markey on that one, SST? I might pass out here on camera. If you're not blaming Markstrom for that, I may pass out. Wow. And there it is, my friends. A very rare. SST said, been crapping on Markstrom all season long, but cannot say anything bad about him for that goal. And then Woodson tells him he's losing his edge. Oh, man. I'm not going to go too much on this, Ryan, but I think Taylor Hall would instantly upgrade the bottom 6 and get more depth scoring. Absolutely. I don't see how, especially after this last stretch we've had, how anyone could say anything differently. Now, whether or not there's guys better suited for the Devils to get, I'm not debating that. But in a vacuum, just in a vacuum, and again, not taking into consideration if Chicago retains or not, or what we're trading for him, but in a vacuum, if you just said, does Taylor Hall make the Devils' bottom 6 better? The answer is definitively yes. If you don't say yes, then you're a lunatic. I'm not saying he's the guy that won the Hart Trophy, on that 17-18 season with the Devils. I'm not saying he is going to be, a game buster kind of dominant player, but in a bottom 6 role, does he make the offense better? Absolutely. Absolutely. Devin says Hall would boost the bottom 6, Hall and Cotter on the line. So I'm not going to get too much into this either, but if you haven't seen it, and a lot of you decided to comment on it without watching, and I shamed you all for it in the comments, go look on the channel. At some point this week, I did release a kind of in-depth video talking about the whole Taylor Hall situation and looking at it and talking about whether or not I think the Devils should look at bringing him back. And I look at it from all angles, so check that out. Go Boro. Thank you, sir. I ain't got a brain left, but I got bucks. Love you, Ace. Thanks, Go Boro. Appreciate it. Always appreciate it. I don't have much of anything left, to be honest. A brain. I feel mentally and physically beaten over the past couple weeks. And coming on here and reading the dooming is quite painful. And, it comes with the territory, I suppose. But damn, I still believe in the team. I really do. But they got to get their shit together, and it's got to happen quick, because now I'm officially in cause for concern mode. Completely in cause for concern mode. You just can't keep losing these close games. You got to find a way to win. But thank you, Go Boro. John Fay, well, either way, Ace, win or lose, we will ride or die with this team. Yeah, I will be. Cheers to that, John. Gotta win, though. And now it's come to the point now, it's gotten so rough this past patch. And again, I don't like using the term must win, because I only feel like it's like, oh, game 7 is a must win, or, you're down 3-2 in a playoff series and it's game 6. Like, yes, that's a must win, because if you don't, your season's over. I don't like using that exact term for anything other than a true must win. But I'm going to call both of these weekend games against the Flyers and the Sens at the Rock, I'm going to call them gotta wins. You gotta win them both. Gotta win them both. Alex says, I give my left nut for a guy like Zubris on this team. Man, Zuby was so heavy on the puck. He could pretty much play up and down the lineup as well. Zuby was an underappreciated guy at the time for sure. John Fay, so SST, back to the very beginning of the post-game chat. Are you on board the Marquee Express yet? Are you going to ride the rail and make your mind up near the end of the season? It's a fair question. Scott, Devils are done playing Leafs, Panthers, Canes, Lightning, and Caps. Finished 7-6-4 against the East's other top teams. Record will improve rest of the way. I wish I found some sort of solace in that, Scott, because if I'm being honest, the boys play better against the better teams. We've struggled mightily against the bottom teams, and so, you know, obviously, even with knowing that, you still would rather be playing those weaker teams on paper, but the Devils need to figure out how to beat them because we've struggled with them all year. Terrible. Anaslama, Brock Nelson would look nice in the bottom six. I think he would, but I don't know if Lou's going to trade him to the Devils. And furthermore, I think someone else would pay more than I would be willing to pay for him. You know, Brock Nelson's going to fetch a nice return. I forget. Let me look at his contract status. He's unrestricted, I think, after this season. Yeah. A desperate team's going to overpay. A contender will overpay. He's making $6 million. This is the last year of his deal. He's 33, I believe. Yeah, 33 years old. I mean, what are you realistically going to give up for him? I'm not giving up a lot at all. For a pure rental, he'd be nice to have, but for a pure rental, it's going to be a high price. Go borrow. Markstrom is the reason we don't have 7 losses. Yeah. Markstrom has kept the Devils in every game he's played in the last 3 weeks or so. And you can't say enough about him. Woodson says we overwork our top 6 because we know the rest can't score. I mean, that's true to some extent. Jay Snow, this organization has been a nightmare to watch since 2012. We've made 2 playoff appearances. That's just not good enough. I fully agree, which was why a lot of you have been with me now probably for, I don't know, some of you maybe close to a year, maybe 6 months. There's probably brand new people. But for those that weren't around and for those that were, towards the end of the season when the playoff dream was slipping away is when I really ranted a lot because I was just so pissed that we didn't do anything to really try to help the team squeak into the playoffs. Even though I don't think we would have went far, there's something to be said for making the playoffs, and it would have been back-to-back seasons, for this young core. I think that would have meant a lot, that learning experience as a group with Jack, Nico, Jesper Bratt, even Luke, going to the playoffs 2 years in a row. We set that franchise record with 112 points in 22-23. Beat the Rangers in that 7-game series, and then we followed up with a dud and missed the playoffs. It really felt like a dagger to the heart. Which is why I was so furious and ranting quite often towards the end of the season last year, because I did feel like with even a goalie acquisition earlier than the deadline, when we literally got 2 goalies, Allen and Kakkonen, that we could have tried to squeak into the playoffs. And it just didn't happen. Robert Crouch. My wife thought I was exaggerating when I told her goalies were always blamed for losses until she read some message boards. Markstrom was great, over 20 shots in the third, and 1 went in. Yeah. It's crazy, right? Markey was great again. John Woodson has lost his buddy and his partner in dooming. He said, leaving me hanging on an island, SST. Dooming becomes popular and SST switches sides. Come on. Now, I don't think he's switching sides on Dooming. I think he's just coming around on Markstrom. Blackatron, I'm not concerned yet. Just a little disappointed there. Better than this, and they know it. As long as we make the playoffs, I'm good. I really wouldn't want to limp into the playoffs, though. Listen, they just got to get there, and then anything could happen. But, pretty soon, the thought of competing for the division could be dead. It's not dead yet. And I thought they'd be in the mix of the division towards the end. But if things don't improve soon, that dream could die, I would say, very soon. And then it's just like you're trying to finish, hang on to top 3 in the Metro. I mean, us and the Canes are going to be, it is crazy that the Caps have just been playing this good, man. It seems like the Caps probably, obviously betting odds, standings being what they are now, that the Caps are favored to win the division. I could see them losing it, but if the Caps do win the division, we're going to be in a dogfight with Carolina for second in the division. And you look at nights like this and you're like, damn, even if we could have won 2 of these games that we lost in overtime. Pistol Pete blowing 4 leads in one game is wild. It was 3 leads. It was 3 leads, not 4, but wow. 3 leads in a game. Alex, a win is going to feel so good, but if the next one is a loss, holy shit, watch out. SST says, speaking about Snickers, Russo, aren't you 20 years old, about the right age to eat Snickers? I mean, why is Snickers an age thing? I think everyone loves Snickers, young and old. Snickers are delicious. The ice cream bars are even better. Let's see. John Woodson says, I will doom till I die or we trade the Hughes brothers, which is clearly never happening. Cape Dweller, Miss Zub, solid player. Yeah, Zubris was a monster. Monster of a man, very heavy on the puck, went into corners, could do a little bit of everything. I loved watching him and Yager play. If you want to talk about some classic cycles, who the hell was the other player with Yager and Zubris? Was it Trav? Yeah, it was Trav. Yeah, Zajac with Zubris and Yager, they used to have some dominating cycles. Yager's another guy that is an absolute monster truck. Insane power in his lower body and a huge man. Between him and Zubris, you could not knock that line off the puck, and they would pin teams deep on some of the dark days of the Devils, teams that weren't going anywhere. They would give you little things to smile about here and there. What an era. I can't believe I still don't believe sometimes Yager was a New Jersey Devil. I mean, my God. That was insane. Nicole says, SST, go yell at some kids to get off your lawn. Pete Woodson there, never trading the Hughes brothers. Far better chance they add one at some point eventually. I think there's 0 chance of them trading the Hughes brothers. And I would say the chance of getting Quinn is probably 50-50. Woodson says, Devils fan since 97, just because my best friend was a Ranger fan. What a terrible series that was, man. I'll never forget that. Graves eliminating the Rangers on the wraparound. Brutal stuff. Searle, potentially unpopular opinion. Only the first 60 minutes of the game are good for gauging a team's playoff readiness. This is essentially 4 ties in a row. I agree and disagree to some extent, right? But Searle, in the end, yeah, there is no crazy 3-on-3 overtime or obviously a shootout in the playoffs. But let's just pretend that all the games we lost in overtime were games that went to regular 20-minute overtime, 5-on-5, like playoff rules, essentially. If all those games we lost went to playoff overtime rules, how many do you think we would have won? Because I hate to say it, I believe if this game was a playoff game tonight, the way the whole thing went, and then, after the third, we went in the locker room and came out for a 20-minute overtime, I believe we would have lost tonight's game in overtime. I mean, I would just have to be honest. John Fay, as I said before, the Marquee Express is still open for all those doubters to climb aboard. You got to be a brave soul to come out and speak badly about Markstrom at this point. Even SST has had to change his tune because he knows what he's witnessed in the past couple weeks, last few weeks, really. Division is deader than dead. I wouldn't say yet, Woodson. It's not dead yet. It's still a lot of hockey. But I will say it will be dead probably soon. Roland, Ovechkin game winner in OT today. Does he break the record this year? It's going to be so close, and it's crazy. This freaking guy is 100 years old, and he's still doing this. Going into the season, I thought there was no chance. I'm like, no, he'll break it, somewhat early the following season. He's got 21 goals in 29 games. How many games do the Caps have left? He needs 21. He needs 21 more in 37 games. I think he might. It depends, though. There's a lot at work here because down the stretch, he's going to be playing other teams trying to improve their playoff position or try to sneak into a wild card. So once March comes around, a lot of times, space on the ice, not so easy to find, and goal scoring is not as much. It's going to be super close. He has a chance. If I had to pick, it's going to be a lot of pressure too. I don't want to root against them. I'm going to say it's going to be super close either way. I think he might do it if I had to pick one, but it is a tall order going into the playoff drive. M says Ace is just straight up skipping my comments. I don't know who that is. I'm not purposely, I have to just kind of systematically scroll here, guys. There's like a million comments. Snickers are bad. That's why you're fat, Ace. Oh, thank you, Dick. What a dick. Prime Yager will save this team. Prime Yager would save a lot of teams. But it was crazy. Yager, even in his old age, led the Devils in scoring one year. I think at age 41. Dave, another person with normal takes on life and the New Jersey Devils. Let's not overreact. We're still one of the top teams in the entire conference. We got sloppy in overtime. We have to tighten up a few things. By the way, just saw the Lags interview. Well, thanks, Dave. You must be a longtime fan. Yeah, I'm not trying to overreact. Some of these people are nuts. I'm now officially concerned. Before I was like, it's a slump. But now when you're talking 3-4-3 in the last 10, I'm officially concerned. I'm not panicked. I'm not, running to the ledge or looking for sharp objects, but it's definitely time to figure out what the hell's going on and maybe make some small tweaks because 3-4-3 and 10 is brutal. And again, I don't know. This will go down in infamy. What the hell happened on the Christmas of 2024? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever happened on that break, we've never been the same. Brandon Thomas, why do the Devils just straight refuse to screen the goalie? Most of the power play just open ice skating around, no screening, no one there for rebounds. Like, what are we doing? I'm sorry, but this is bad. Well, that's where you're missing Stefan Nason. That's his office down low. He's going to be parked there down low. That's his office. Definitely missed the big net front guy. LJ, Ovechkin plays Isles twice in April, thinking I might head out to see if he's close. That's interesting. Alex says Ovi will do it. I think he will too, which is crazy. And he missed time. He missed a ton of games. It's crazy to think with all the games he missed that he still might do it. Searle says Ovechkin tends to get hot when approaching a milestone, and generally when I'm thinking about something for long enough, I don't bet against Ovi. I wouldn't bet against Ovi either. Oh, this is preposterous, SST. Are the Devils making the playoffs or not? Yeah, the Devils are making the playoffs. Evan, what's up? Hey, Ace, let's be positive. Go Devils. I try. I'm trying to be positive. There's a lot of negativity out here. The Insane Pollock, if it's Doomer comments, he skips a lot of them. Well, not even that. It's just there's a lot of them, and I always I'm looking at the timestamp, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm reading things from 20 minutes ago. So then I just scroll a lot where I'm not looking at anything. Looks like I'm pretty current now. This was only 2 minutes ago. Force says scroll faster. Darth, Ace looks good for his age. Dude is a baller. Put some respect on it. I appreciate that, Darth. I don't know if I look good for my age, but, I do know plenty of people that look worse, believe it or not. High school, college, I'm like, damn, bro. What happened to you folks? Earlier I asked if you saw Jaeger. I was playing for Boston University ASAP. I knew that it was planned to go to Boston. I'd imagine it was going to be after his, what the hell is he in the USHL? I didn't think it was going to be after the USHL season. Jay Snow, I thought they literally lost every lost puck. Not everyone, but a lot of sloppiness. A lot of sloppiness. Devin G says, concern is the right word for sure. Still so much hockey left. There is, but it goes quick. I remember making the, I guess it was, I don't remember what it was. One of the Outlook videos where I was like, we're in January now. And I remember making videos in August and being like, oh, wow, it's August, which means it's almost September, which means it's almost, training camp and preseason time. And in a blink of an eye, we're now 3+ months into the season. It's crazy. And before we know it, it'll be February. And before we know it, it'll be March. And so on and so forth. It is crazy. Time just does fly. NJ Swamp Fox, our ozone play has been abysmal. If not for Markey, the last 5 to 10 games wouldn't have been close. I agree. Markstrom was the 3rd star of the month for December. I forget his exact record. It was something ridiculous, like 8-2-1 or something, with a very good goals against and save percentage. For the calendar month of December, was named the 3rd star of the month for his efforts. And in the past couple weeks, ever since that, basically the Sharks game forward, or not, was it the Sharks game? Was the first one? Yeah, he played great in that 3-2 loss against the Sharks. I have like 7,000 tabs open on my screen here. Yeah, he played great in that loss to the Sharks. Another painful one on the season. Played great in the Kraken win with two legitimate candidates for save of the year. One with the dive across glove save, and the other one obviously like on his back with the stick against Beniers on the doorstep. He played great in the Ranger game. The overtime win against Tampa. Yeah, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 insane starts for Markey in a row. He gave up 3, 2, 3, 2, 1 in the Florida game and 3 tonight. I mean, without Markey, it's definitely a lot that, that 3, 4, and 3 in the last 10 could be much uglier, which any uglier than that, it's you're talking pretty damn ugly. 450 hockey over 3 weeks is ugly, but it can get worse. Maybe the Four Nations will give us the good shot to reset. I hope so. Maybe that break goes in our favor, but the holiday break absolutely killed us. John Woodson says, we'll make the playoffs, beat the Caps, give the homers hope our core is cup worthy, and my misery continues. I mean, listen, getting to the playoffs and beating the Caps and then losing in the second round would suck. And I would say overall the season was a failure. But it's better than not making the playoffs or getting crushed in the playoffs. Brolin, Ace, pull up the Leafs daily faceoff lineup. They're similar to the Devils. Good top six, suspect bottom six, and their defense is no good. Getting outplayed like tonight is unacceptable. Dude, they're a good team. But just look, we're all basically packed in the kind of same, the Caps are the cream of the crop in the East right now. And then the Devils, Canes, Panthers, and Leafs are all jumbled right there with like almost identical everything. It's going to be a dogfight down the stretch. Go Burrow. John Woodson. Wait, your misery would continue if we beat the Caps? Jay Snow says put Nason with Jack. That's an experiment I'm totally down for. Nicole, go Burrow. I agree. I was worried about the break, but now I think we need a reset. Yeah, maybe the break does help us. I mean, at this point, it can't get much uglier. It cannot get much uglier. John Woodson says yes, because then all of you would get sucked into believing we are good. SST says, I still think we won't make playoffs, which I think is crazy. Alex Russo, damn, homie. In high school, you was the man, homie. Man. Oh, man. Richard Tompkins, hey, Ace, watch for February to bounce back and go on a heater. Losing just stinks. Feel bad. Take the loser point and move on. Learn from these games. My issue is, Richard, is that we've said the same exact shit. The losing sucks, blah, blah, blah. Take the loser point and learn. When are we going to learn? When is the learning going to happen? I'm not seeing any learning. I'm going to say I'm not seeing any learning here. What are we learning? We're learning how to find new ways to blow leads and lose. Yeah, you're talking about the last 4 games going to OT plus, and we're 1-3. I mean, at least be 500 in those games, which still would be unacceptable to me because of the players we have. You got to be, you got to have the true advantage. In most scenarios, you're like, those situations, the less guys on the ice, the more open ice there is, the more it favors the Devils because of their speed and skill. But it's not happening. The results are not there. We're losing. Overtime loss to the Rangers, beat the Lightning in OT. Shootout loss to the Panthers, overtime loss to the Leafs. And quite frankly, if we're being honest, that Lightning game, we could have lost in overtime if we didn't have a power play. We won on a power play. Like, if that didn't happen, who the hell knows how that game would have ended? M says, nope, he signed up for the upcoming semester at Boston University. His old team stated he's playing for Boston and is no longer on the team. Oh, that's awesome. Very, very cool stuff. Let me see something. I didn't even know you could do that. I can't keep up with all the rules and shit. I don't even know how some of these things work, like with amateur players, if they could just be like, oh, I'm going to play college now. Very interesting. Go Burrow. Feels like only yesterday we were talking about give Holtz a chance. Oh, man. It does. It does. The months just fly by. It is crazy. It seems like not too long ago I was making those rant videos in March and April when the playoffs were just slipping away from reality. John Woodson, Jarov is going to play for one of our OGs, and obviously John Woodson is referring to the defensive wizard, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, Jay Pandolfo, the head coach of the Boston University Terriers, where Mr. Jarov will be playing in goal at some point, I guess very soon. It is crazy how small the hockey world is. John Fay, not only out-hustled, but outshot and outplayed the entire game. Let's not forget the shots were 41-24. The score could have been 7-3 if not for Markey. Completely agree there as well. Jay Snow, Keefe has turned us from an offensive juggernaut to a team that can't score. Yeah, but how much can you blame Keefe for this? I mean, I'm a firm believer that on a lot of teams, and this goes for a lot of sport, every sport really, a lot of times I feel like the coach gets either too much praise or too much when a team's doing good, or too much flack when a team's sucking. Like, is Keefe perfect? No, but who is perfect? I do think at some point, he can't shoot the pucks for these guys. Like, they are getting chances. We just have been, especially Timo, man. Timo's had so many good chances in the past week or so. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Searle, the rumors of Nemitz thinking about his future with the Devils true. As far as I understand, don't put too much stock into this. He's pondering a trade request at some point. I think it was kind of a thing that got blown up he gave a little snippet of a quote that people kind of ran with and read into. And, obviously I think it was an error by him to say it because, he should realize how media works and people are going to kind of blow it up to more than maybe it was or what he meant for it to be. But basically the zinger of all the quotes was, I guess he was asked about, will you ever request a trade? And he said, it's hard to say. It's still too early to request a trade. If this situation continues, it will have to be addressed. But for now, this is how it stands. So who the hell knows what that means? I'd have to imagine we'll see him on the Devils next year if he's not traded one way or another. Because I do believe he might be able to ride this season out. But if we try to put him in Utica next year, I think he's going to freak out. Force, I think all of our frustration is because they have all been close games that could have gone any way. Yeah, I mean, even if you call it a coin flip, it's like, damn, we're losing coin flips constantly. And it shouldn't be a coin flip. With the guys we have in the overtime, it is to our advantage. It's just not the end of the game result is not playing out that way. It's terrible. John Woodson, after watching this team suck for the last 20 years, I look like I'm 80. Rangers win again, says Ryan. I predicted them to make the playoffs a couple weeks ago. Ritter Engine, Frank the Tank is going to go crazy right about now. I'd imagine he would be. John Woodson, Ace is an expert at audio in his older age. No, I didn't. It's not that I'm an expert. I just realized that, and again, you refuse to believe it's the software. It is the software. I'll firmly tell you that if I do hit the mic and the plug gets jostled in any way, even when I reconnect it, the software will not read for whatever reason, because technology sucks. It doesn't realize that the mic is back. Like, in an ideal world, I could be able to smack this thing around and shake it and do whatever I want to do. And if the plug comes out, just, quickly put it back in. It's not that simple. Not that simple at all. When it gets jostled and it comes out, even when I put it back in, the software won't pick it up, and it's a whole thing. And so I didn't become an expert in audio per se, John Woodson. I become an expert in just not touching the damn mic and pretending like it's not even an option. Devin G, I'm out for now till Saturday, y'all. Take care, Devin. SST, Ace's audio equipment became better as soon as the Devils started losing. Oh, man. John Fay at SST, why are you being rude to the one person that can deal with your BS? John Woodson, he was jumping around too much from being excited about so many wins. I think that's what it was, Woodson. I'd have to look at it. But that probably is what it was. It was probably when I was getting all excited and pulling it, and then it would come undone and everything. So, yeah. Alex Russo, give it up for your boy, though. Absolute no technical difficulties here. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. LJ, got to sweep the Flyers in the next run of games. Again, beating any team 3 times is tough, no matter who the team is. Beating them 3 times in, 11 days or something, I believe. Very tough, but I would absolutely love to see us beat them all 3 times, obviously. You can't ask for more than playing statistically one of the worst teams in the league 3 times in a week and a half. I mean, what more can you ask for? And 2 of them are home, I believe. Yeah, 2 of them are home. So, if that can't help get the ship back on course, then I don't know what the hell could. The only thing better would be if, they said we were playing PWHL teams. I mean, realistically, you're getting three cracks at one of the worst teams in the league. Richard Tompkins, I'll stay positive but be sad at the same time. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Woodson, Fly Girls always have a way to bring us up when we are down. Upcoming heater, I hope so. Go Boro, thanks for streaming and putting up with everything good and bad, Ace. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for showing up and, commiserating on a night like tonight. Searle, I have my concerns, obviously, but I'm not panicking. Hoping whatever pickup or pickups come at the deadline can help the depth. I mean, something's got to be done. We can't sit with our hands in our pockets right now. It's time to, I think, start looking to see where the improvements can happen, because we're at that time. John Fay, okay, so I'm heading out. See you early Saturday after the Flyers game and hopefully have 2 points. Oh, God, I hope so. I hope so. Snow says we don't do heaters, and Woodson says, heater above 500 on the next stretch. Alex, it went from Holtz to give Hallinan a chance. I know, right? Crazy. Searle, no one seemed to mind our 22-23 season being carried by the long-ass winning streak early in the season. In some ways, that does seem like forever ago. That 13-game winning streak, oh, my God. That does seem like an eternity ago. And what a fun one that was. Really was. Jungle Static, part of it is just that we are following these games so close. We're getting wrapped up in the moment. Looking back on the season, this will barely register as a blip. We're still getting points. I hope you're right, man. Because in the moment, it certainly feels like a swift kick in the nuts. Constantly. And losing in the overtime, oh, God. Richard Tompkins says Hallinan Def plays Saturday. I hope so. Amagi, Hallinan is about to get 2 Hatties against the Flyers before skating the cup on the ice in June. Alex Russo, I know a guy in preseason who got a Hattie against the Flyers. Yes, Kevin LeBanc in the last game of the season. Is that who you're referring to? Fentanyl Floyd says we're basically a 2-line team. Woodson, Yegorov will at least know how to play defense. Probably miss the net every time, but a younger Palat. Woodson, Yegorov is the goalie, my guy. You got him confused with somebody else? I think you got him confused. Richard Tompkins, damn it, Ace, trying to stay positive here. LOL, this team's making it hard. It definitely is. Go, Boro. Hope you're going to be okay, Ace. I'm going to crash. Hope things improve. Definitely want to see some cats put amongst the pigeons sometime. That must be like an expression from where you're from, I think. I could kind of gather the context of what it is, but I don't know that I've ever heard that one. But have a good night, Go Boro, and hopefully they win Saturday. Kyle says Nemitz needs to be on our team right now. So I ask you, Kyle, who are you taking out on defense for Nemitz? Sean, hi, Ace. I'm a Devils fan. I'm going to a game in March. Should I go to the game versus the Oilers or Calgary? Sean, I would say 100% the Oilers, just because you will see assuming he's not injured, the Connor McDavid show live. Connor McDavid is an absolute phenom, complete freak of nature, and watching him live is a must. So I would tell you to go to the Oilers. Alex Russo, by their cloth, one thing for sure is you win cups with guys like Nico and Nason. Anyone else you'd put in that category? Most of the defense, I'd put most of the defense in that category. You obviously need guys like all the guys we have. Now I would like another Cotter Nason type. I don't know that we have enough of them, but good teams are made up of a little bit of everything. The skill finesse guys, the bottom 6 grinders, the physical guys, the puck moving defensemen, the smash them up defensemen. And that's why I was so high on the team coming into the season. Listen, I'm still high on the team. This has been a brutal stretch. I really want to know what the hell happened on Christmas. But you need a nice mixture. And I just think that with a couple tweaks, we could have the mixture. We have obviously the high-end skill guys. We have some of the heavier, edgier, more violent gentlemen like, Timo, Cotter, Nason. I would like another dog or two for the bottom 6, or potentially, one for the top 6, one for the bottom 6, depending on who it is. Woodson says I'm drunk. I thought Yegorov was the Russian forward we drafted. Maybe you're thinking of Gritsuk, The kid in the KHL, Woodson. Jagerov's the goalie. Pete says Frank the Tank just declared we're missing the playoffs on rant that probably spiked his blood pressure to dangerous levels. Nah, there's no way. We're making the playoffs. Searle, I consider the top 3 in the Metro in whatever order, but most likely the Caps winning it is nearly set in stone. I mean, it seems close to that, but but in the end, there's just so much hockey left. It's definitely not set in stone, but it is the most favored outcome, obviously, probably by a good margin. John Woodson, I love the detailed software explanation. Well, because you like to bust my chops about it, and everyone talking shit those times that it happened, and that's why I gave the full explanation, because it's not just as simple as, sticking the cord back in. You need to reset the whole thing. It's a total pain in the ass, and I wouldn't recommend anyone to ever do YouTube. I'm not even gonna lie. In some ways, I regret ever doing it, to be perfectly honest. It's awesome and painful all at the same time. The times like, getting to sit down with Jamie Langenbrunner, the stuff like that makes all the other stuff, and there's a lot of it, all the nonsense and the stuff, and that is what makes it all worth it. Ace, I don't know if I ever said anything about it, but for Christmas, my girlfriend's brother got me a signed Timo stick. I will never doubt Timo time. That's a great gift from your girlfriend's brother for sure. Are you not entertained? Proceeds to spike the mic. Oh man. SST says we need to switch to jerseys. We are winning in them. Searle, SST, those sweaters are ugly as shit, but for whatever reason they tend to win more in them. But then again, I'd rather blame anything good or bad on the roster. Up until this year, we were terrible in the jerseys. Alex Walsh, Fitz only cared about getting bigger and strong in the offseason. He should have addressed bottom 6 scoring. It's hurting them now. Well, with all, he thought that Cotter and Nason were supposed to both be in the bottom 6. The whole Mercer and Tatar being in the top 6 didn't pan out. And so now one of the guys that was penciled in for the bottom 6 and Nason is now on the top 6. That's the reality of what happened. And so now the bottom 6 has obviously suffered as a result. Kyle says take out Kovacevic for Nemetz easy. I think that's lunacy. Sean says Connor McDavid is obviously going to do something that is actually Instagram hockey. Devils ruled 908. Random thought, but why haven't we done the black helmet with the white jersey combo again? I thought that was such a clean combo. I hated that. I couldn't get used to it. I think I made a video. I think I made a video. I'm probably never going to be able to find it. It was a very primitive, a very early video on the channel. I made a video, I think, wearing a black helmet with a white jersey. Yeah, that was probably over a year ago or around a year ago. Searle, Alex Walsh, what's funny is Nason and Cotter made us forget they were supposed to be depth, but proved to be better than depth. Yeah, exactly. I just said that a second ago. They were brought in to be bottom 6 guys. Now, obviously, Cotter is still playing on the bottom 6 at the moment, but Nason is in the top 6, and now you're like, oh, well, turns out my plans for the top 6 kind of bombed, and now that in turn makes the bottom 6 kind of plan bomb as well. Who is winning the MVP this season for the league? League MVP will probably be I'm going to go McDavid or McKinnon. SST, it's crazy to not trade Kovacevic while his value is sky high for O'Reilly. Devils can replace Kovacevic. But why are they going to trade O'Reilly for Kovacevic? That doesn't make sense. There's no way. They're going to get something better than Kovacevic. And Kovacevic is unrestricted. Right? O'Reilly has term. Why would the Predators do that, SST? That would make no sense. Jay Snow, I don't know, Ace. We keep playing like this. It wouldn't surprise me if we fall to a wild card. It's possible. It's definitely possible, but I don't think so. I still think they're going to be in that top 3 in the Metro. Richard Tompkins, good night. Oh, I'll see you Saturday. Win or lose, Ace, we will booze. Have a good night, Richard. Sean, you think the Rags are making the playoffs this year? Yes, I do. I do think they will make the playoffs. Cyril, McKinnon or Hellebuck? Yeah, they're just going to give Hellebuck the Vezina. They're not going to give him the Vezina and the Hart. Jay Snow says he would trade Kovacevic. Kyle, trade Kovacevic for a depth forward, bring up Nemitz, become a real contender in that order. I don't know. You're not worried about the impact on the defense to just throw Nemitz out there after Kovacevic has looked very good all season? Just saw a post saying that we should target Taylor and Yanni Gourde. Thoughts? I wouldn't be opposed. I made a video. If you haven't seen it, you could check it out on the channel about Taylor Hall. I think 2 moves like that, again, I'm not saying them, but 2 moves like that I think could improve the team, the offense dramatically. I mean, I don't know, Yanni Gourde would probably be your 3rd line center. And Hall, I think, could pretty much play anywhere. Hall, I think, is a guy at this stage with the current lineup. You could test him out on any line. You could test him on Jack's line. You could test him on Nico's line. I think he could play 3rd line or 4th line. Obviously, I think he'd be, underutilized on the 4th line. But I do think he could give a boost to almost any line on the team. I think they're going to dump him, not for much, which makes the trade attractive as well. It's not going to cost us a whole lot. I think it's a low risk, high reward. But check out the video I made about should we look at Taylor Hall. I go into the whole thing talking about the kind of history and when he was here, and I look at some of his playoff numbers. So I would say definitely check out that video. Let me put the link in the chat. It's definitely worth watching. It's not an easy answer, but I do think. Oh, my computer. Yeah, link in the chat. That's for the Taylor Hall video if you want to kind of get my long thoughts on it. John Woodson, I say trade Kova, but it's almost impossible to replace his size and physical ability. Exactly. If this team wasn't a playoff team, I firmly agree. Oh, yeah, Kovacevic has been great, but we're not making the playoffs. You cash him in for something. For a future piece that helps us next year or beyond. But they're going to go to the playoffs, guys. And Woodson, like you said, you're not replacing his size and physical ability. So I'm not trading him. I'm going into the playoffs with him. I do believe whoever we would swap in for him in the event he was traded is an overall downgrade to the defense. And especially when we need to be more physical. Yeah, Kova doesn't get pushed around like all our other defensemen. Yeah, because he's a big boy. He's a monster. Jungle Static. Jack has put up quite a few 3-point nights, it seems. I think he has 9 or 10. I'm not really sure. This is a run-in with the Devils exclusive. These have never been brought to market. This is just a one of one for myself. And the Y hat is the Devils Youth Foundation. I forget how I even got this. If you donate money and stuff, at some point, I think they give you one. Cyril, Kovacevic is part of the solution, and whatever we would get back isn't going to help us more than he himself does. I firmly agree with that as well. Yeah, it's like, who's going to be a more impact player that you're going to get in a trade? I would say nobody. I don't think it's a net loss to me. If you trade Kovacevic, it's a net loss. If it seems like we can't re-sign him, then so be it. We go on a playoff run with him and hope for the best. Win a damn cup. BC says, instead of trading Kovacevic, trade Siegenthaler. Woodson, I talked about this earlier, 100% trade Siegs, but you're making a D-man play on his offside. Exactly. And then what? Who's going to play on their offside? Are you going to tinker with the pairings? At this point, in this very moment, I just feel like the team is way too fragile to be tinkering with the defense, in my opinion. Roland, wish the Devils played with as much heart as CBJ has shown this year. 6 wins in a row and only a few points behind the Devils now. Yeah. Woodson, we have $5.5 million left next year to pay Luke, and that's without re-signing Kova. The math says someone goes. Well, there's a lot of options. You could look at the potential Palat buyout, or if you could somehow pull a miracle trade. Maybe they look at the Dougie thing a little more seriously. I do think there's options. Sean, I miss when Seamus Casey played. I am friends with his uncle Craig. I'm a big Seamus Casey fan. He made his case. He showed that he belongs. It's just he was just a little bit too early for him with all the other depth we have. Art W, just scratch Luke. That is never happening. Luke is a kid, man. These kids are young. He's improved so much this year playing with Pesci. Searle, I'm going to put far more stock into how we finish off the season, especially after the trade deadline and the games beforehand. No, absolutely. Woodson says, hate to say it, but I was a believer for about a month. I'm better than that. Pete, Woodson talking, moving Hughes brothers. Jason wants to move Kobe. Some of you would make total dog shit GMs. I agree there as well. Alex, Devils against Leafs, Lightning, Panthers, Caps, Canes is 7, 6, and 4. Not good enough. No, it's not. But that's what, 13, 17 games? 17 games. So you got 18 out of 34. The points percentage is going to be better than you think. Yeah, 529. I mean, not great, but it's far from tragic. SST says, so softness can hit you too, Woodson. And then Woodson says, Chico and Ace wore me down. Tim Frith, Ace, the Devils will get revenge on the Leafs in the playoffs. Oh, man, that would be sweet. That would definitely be sweet. Woodson was in the Christmas spirit, I guess. Searle, do you usually watch games in this room when not attending? Yeah, it's in the same room, but I don't watch it from. This is a portion of my my lair here. I'm in the same room, but I'm not sitting here. Out there. Jay Snow, yeah, I'd move Kovacevic. We need another puck mover on the back end. I'm not risking messing with the defense before the playoffs. I think that'd be insane. Jungle Static, really don't want to trade anyone other than Tatar. Maybe Bastion if it could get you something. Our trades should be picks, maybe prospects. No, nothing too crazy for a rental. Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think you're getting much for Tatar or Bastion at all. Ryan Johnson, 4-hour drive and they lost. Oh, man, you drove 4 hours to watch that? That heartbreaking loss. It's so crazy. Had Luke buried that one of the first shots, the first 2 shots he got off in overtime, that 4-hour drive would have taken on a completely different life. Isn't it crazy? One post. You were a puck hitting a post. Just this little boop. Just another inch or two the other way. And your 4-hour drive back home would have been one of jubilation instead of just complete misery and despair. Searle, so I didn't want to say this, but I was thinking it. Because I think we all know why Columbus has so much heart, and we would rather not get it in that way. I mean, yeah, they're rallying around an absolute unthinkable tragedy to one of their star players that was beloved by all of his teammates in the city. And I think they are kind of using that as a rallying cry. And to Searle's point, I mean, you never wish that on anybody, and you wouldn't want to kind of get your mojo from that. But I do believe that is a part of it, that they are kind of pulling from that. And how could you not? I'm pretty sure they have a locker set up for Johnny Gaudreau in the locker room. Like, that's got to be some real I don't even know what the word is, but that's some real deep, just like spiritual shit that you go in that locker room and you see Johnny Gaudreau's stall there. And you're like, we're not going to go out there and try to do this for the city and for his family and everything else. And his family's been around. Definitely a dark situation. Alex Russo, Pesci is so good. We never talk about him. Rare mistakes made in just a machine back there. Yeah, I've talked about him before, but I guess it's been a while. Brett Pesci is the calm, cool defender. He had a nice play where he was like, it was kind of like a dive, I think. Like he was fully extended to break up a chance in the third period, I think. Monster play by Pesci. But yeah, he was getting a lot of shots on goal early on in the game, too. He was getting pucks on net. Kyle, move Meier and Seamus Casey for JT Miller. Heavier, edgier, more violent move. First of all, Timo's not getting traded. We have no. Do you guys realize if you look at our group of forwards, we have 3 tough forwards. 3 tough forwards in the lineup. They are Timo Meier, Stefan Nason, Paul Cotter. The rest of our forwards are not tough. Not tough. I want to add tough forwards without losing some of the ones we already have. And so I would love JT Miller if it made sense. Timo's not going to get traded. Fitz is not crazy. Fitz is not the overreacting people in here. Obviously, myself and Fitz would both like to see more production out of Timo, but he does a lot of intangibles that a lot of the people in this chat would not be able to comprehend, and I'm tired of talking about it. And so, he's not getting traded. But I would love JT Miller. John Woodson, Pesci is a pass intercepting machine, but my God, is he slow. Yeah, but look at, he could make up for the speed with the hockey IQ and hockey sense. Luke's much faster, but he doesn't have the hockey brain yet. It's still developing. Pesci could kind of see things before they happen and, use his sense to make good plays. Ryan Johnson, silence the whole way home. Jay Snow, all of our D are slow besides Luke. Sean, Ace, you want to know what Seamus says? Though he tells me he wants to go to Tampa because he grew up there. John Woodson, part of me believes Keefe tells the D to pinch to help the offense in the zone, but are too slow to get back when we turn it over. It does seem like the D has been getting a lot more involved as of late. Jay Snow, that's what I'm saying. In today's NHL, a lot of D-men can play 2 ways. We have so many defensive D-men who give 0 offense. Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're counting on and now it went from, our offense sucks, so everyone blame the bottom 6. Now we're going to start blaming the defense for the lack of offense. Like, that's how you already know. To me, that's an indictment on a lot of things, and it starts with me at the top. If this is where we're at now, then you have to look no further than the top 6 and say the top 6 is just not doing enough on a lot of nights. And a lot of nights they haven't. They took care of business tonight, but in a lot of nights they haven't. And again, I do think getting a guy or 2 for the bottom 6 will help the offense overall and hopefully make us a more balanced team. Art, Mikey McLeod not here would be great right now. Obviously, aside from his whole situation, just from a hockey standpoint, Mikey McLeod, losing him for nothing was a devastating loss. Completely devastating loss. Searle, tragedy is a big reason the 2013 Bruins, I know they had a great team, but still in the 17-18 Golden Knights went on a tear. What happened? My mind's a little fuzzy right now. I'm trying to think what happened with the 2013 Bruins and the 17-18 Golden Knights. Kyle, I'd be willing to clean house on prospects and picks for JT Miller. I think he makes us a tier contender. He's old, man. I like him, but I don't really want to give up anything crazy for him, and I think a team will overpay. He's 31. I mean, then with him, I would say we might have the best top three centers, in terms of your top three lines. We might have the best three centers in the league, but at what cost? To start talking about clean house and mortgage the future for JT Miller, I don't know that I'm that high on him to mortgage the future. Listen, I'm all for win now moves, but I think win now moves within some sort of sense or logic. Sean, March 2024 Timo time was so entertaining. I remember going to Blues 1-4 Devils and Timo got a hattie. That was a fun night. My buddy Goody, I don't know if you could sum it up in a short enough time, but what went wrong during the DeBoer and Hines years that they could never win a cup? I stopped watching any and all sports after 2003. Essentially, I would say that, they basically, after the Marty years, Lou tinkered around for a little bit more, never really wanted to embrace a rebuild. He's trying to win a cup every year. And I think, some poor moves were made that essentially, left us in a bad spot in terms of, if you look at some of those rosters, you're just like, my God, like this is not a playoff roster, and then we had all the young kids come in. So basically it was just, rebuilding years and where the roster was just substandard, really, by every measurable way. John Woodson, I think Timo on the right team would be very good. He just doesn't seem to fit, and we play him on his off wing. I know. I wish he would just go back to his natural wing. He does gravitate there during gameplay quite often, Woodson, if you notice. He does gravitate there, but I don't know why he starts off on, I talked about this probably a 24 times at the end of last season. And again, it was the same thing. Timo on the right side and give Timo power play time on the right side. You will see results. Let him perform in the exact way he did in San Jose that made you trade for him. Never made sense to me. Jay Snow, why would keep playing Timo on the off wing? I still don't get. It's a $1 billion question. John Woodson, last year our D-men were too offensive-minded. This year our D-men are too defensive. Ryan Johnson says, out-of-town scoreboard looks bad tonight, too. I haven't taken a look, so I guess now I will. Yeah, Caps win in overtime, so the Sens get a loser point. Ducks win. Red Wings, let me see. Are they even... The wild card is going to be such a dogfight. I mean, yeah, the Wings are still alive, too. I mean, there's so many teams that are going to be clawing. Wings wouldn't win a big one over the Panthers. Blue Jackets beat the Sharks. Flyers beat the Islanders. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything. Just Stars lose to the Canadians. Wow. Rangers beat Utah. Yeah, the East was just... It was a great night for the East. I living overseas know what's happening in America better than Ace. Okay, so now I got it. I was thinking more along the lines of something to a member of the team. Now that you said you live overseas, that made me think of outside of hockey, and obviously, the marathon thing, and then that crazy guy in the hotel with the shooting in Vegas. Yeah, I was thinking more of hockey, something to a hockey player, not the city. Yeah. Sir, Lou has been nothing more than a team father figure in the Cap era. Yeah, it hasn't been the best for him. I mean, he did get GM of the year for the Islanders a few years ago. Kyle, what's going to happen in the next 5 years that makes us more of a contender than we are now? Now it's the time to get bold, bring in JT, and win the cup. I mean, I like where your head's at. I just don't know that I want to overpay and go all in on a guy like Miller. But I like the move. Jace, no, imagine Jack misses time this year. We're screwed. I'd have to believe it would hurt a lot. But listen, the reality is any hockey team that loses one of their best offensive players, and I guess really this goes for any sport, right? If you lose one of your best players, your team is going to suffer as a result. With that being said, some other teams might not feel the absence as much, whereas the Devils would feel the absence probably pretty strongly. And that's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? You hope for the best. BC says Lindy's ghost is still in the locker room and Meier's ghost is on the ice. Yeah, maybe. Opinion on Boston situation with Marchie and Pasta. They said it's not true. They said it's not true, and so who knows? But, more. This is another reason why a lot of guys hate media, because this was kind of a conjured up thing. Woodson, one top 6 injury will miss the playoffs. Oh my God, I hope not. Sean, Ace, you going to bid for the API jerseys? No, I try not to go down the rabbit hole of the specialty jerseys, like for warm-ups anyway, and then especially because they're not worn in warm-ups anymore, that takes away any temptation I would have had to go for a warm-up jersey, because they're not warm-up jerseys anymore. They're just wearing them into the arena, or some of the guys holding them. Definitely more enticing when they wore them during warm-ups, but ever since then, it's very easy for me to refrain. There's just you can only get so much, and I just have so many jerseys and collect so much that I keep it at the actually worn ones. And since they weren't worn, I could sit them out. But I do think the design is. I think I like the back more than the front. It's interesting. Put it this way: if they made a T-shirt or hoodie of the logo, I'd probably buy that. I think they dropped the ball on that as well. I don't know why they never do like T-shirts or hoodies for the specialty designs that they do for the jerseys. Like only 12, 15, however many they sell or auction off. That's like the limit. But slap that logo on a hoodie or a shirt. People will buy it. Jason, no, Toronto lost Austin Matthews for a while, and they're in first place. Sean says, I don't think they're that good. Jason, no, better than us. We can't beat them. Cyril, Meier does seem to miss the net a lot. Weird for someone who scored 30 goals or more 3 times. Sean, Ace, the Kings are beating the Canucks 4-1 right now. LA is on fire. Sean, just walking out of work, watch OT on my phone. Should I be as pissed about this loss as I am? Yeah, I'm pretty pissed. I'm pretty pissed. To blow 3 separate leads, and then given the stakes of the game, the homecoming for Keefe, and we've been on a slide, it would have been a monster kind of momentum boost, morale boost, and we just couldn't do it. Jace, no, they need to make a move before the deadline. They definitely will. Woodson, Timo has a shoot from everywhere mentality. Sometimes doesn't even look when he tries to shoot and catch the goalie off guard. I just hate when it wraps around the boards for an odd man rush. Sean says, I really want an Instagram hockey jersey. That'd be pretty funny. My buddy Goody, I love Tomas Tatar, but he's not the player he was 2 seasons ago, and I find it hard to believe that Fitzy couldn't find a better winger or maybe give one of the prospects a chance, but what do I know? Well, basically, it was the last move he made in the offseason, and he knew that we were going to have to get to the deal with Dawson Mercer, and so it didn't leave a lot of cap space, and so for Fitzy, it was sort of a low-risk, high-reward because Tatar doesn't make a lot of money. He was like, let me try to sign this guy and see if he can recapture that magic from that 22-23 season with Dawson Mercer and Nico. And obviously it just never panned out. Kyle, I think Miller fits the bill for a big-bodied, physical playoff kind of guy that can bring depth, scoring, add some juice to the locker room. Best of all, pissed off some Rangers fans. 31 is not that old. It's not, but it is, Kyle, when you're talking about potentially parting with a guy like Shimon Nemitz in a deal for him. And then you have to look at it and say it is old. Shimon Nemitz is 20. So you're talking about, the best is yet to come with Shimon Nemitz, and it could be an illustrious 15-year career Whereas, what are you getting? Miller for another 2 or 3 seasons at his, optimum level before he starts to tail off in the final years of that contract? You're really gambling to win with him in the next few years. SST, can we somehow get Tavares next summer or trade Meier for him this March? Again, Timo is not getting traded. I can't, just like when people say the Hughes brothers, like certain things I just can't entertain. The Hughes brothers are not getting traded. Timo Meier's not getting traded. Bradder's not getting traded. Like Markey's not getting traded. Like there's certain guys you have to know are not getting traded. So to talk about it is just nonsense. It's complete nonsense. Now, if you want to talk about other guys potentially getting traded, okay. If they're a realistic guy that could potentially be traded, sure. But talking about Timo Meier getting traded is nonsense. Sean, next 10, we should be 7-2-1. Anything less, I'll be bummed. I hope so, man. I hope so. Kyle, our window with Markey is the next 2 to 3 years, putting JT at 33, 34, still plenty of serviceable. Well, listen, Markey's only definitely here for this season and next. Now, if he plays anywhere near as good as he has this season, for next year, I believe we could get him for maybe another year or 2. But there's no guarantee that he stays healthy and still is looking good. But at a minimum, he's going to be here through next season. And so, you're still gambling for a fairly small window. Marshall, wouldn't mind seeing Cotter in the top 6, move Palat out. Oh, I'd be willing to see anything. Just to try it, for sure. Someone even mentioned, I've talked about this in the past as well, trying Nason with Jack. I think we're at the point where you should try some things. Ryan Johnson, I'm not really high on Mercer at all. I also noticed we were pretty gutless without Nason. Yeah, Nason brings a lot of that physicality and swagger for sure. I said Casey, not Nemitz. To me, it's kind of one and the same, though. And Seamus Casey, I think, is going to be a great player as well. I wouldn't really want to part with either one of them unless we're getting someone that's closer in age to like Bradder and Nico. Searle, I don't get the Mercer hate. To me, he's someone who's decent at almost everything. He is. Searle, you have to understand, a lot of these people are just looking at points. That's why they're killing Timo. They're killing Mercer. If they don't see eye-staggering point totals, they want them traded. It is what it is. Mercer's another small forward. He's a good player, just not for us. Disagree. Strongly disagree. Sean, Ace, you think we have a chance of getting the third Hughes? I do believe we have a chance of getting the third Hughes when he becomes a free agent. I think it's definitely a 50-50 coin flip for sure. I do think it's definitely going to be a discussion amongst the Hughes brothers. Jay Snow, if we bomb out this year, would you trade Bratt for a big piece? I don't think so, but I also think it matters how it happens. Like, my quick answer is no, because Bradder has been the best player on the team, arguably, or most consistent player for the past 3 seasons. And so, I think it would be, unless you're really shaking it up and you're getting some monster piece for him. I don't think they will trade him. But now, if a lot of it, I think, just depends on how the season ends and how they look. In the lead up to that. But quick answer, I don't think so. I think, they're kind of all in. The organization is pretty much all in on the core for now of Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meier, Luke Hughes. Pretty much all in on that as being the foundation of the franchise. Sean, Seamus got AHL All-Star. I did see that. He's having a good year for Utica. John Woodson, if we keep 7-8 players in this team, how will we expect a change in the results? We're in the playoffs, my man. I don't think we're as far away as you're making it out to be. Woodson, bottom 6 is important, but the superstars have to do their thing first. I fully agree with that. Chico, I'm late, but I'm sure it's been a night of reasonable and good faith discussions. We've had a little bit of everything. We've had some good faith discussions. We've had some complete dooming. and a little bit of everything in between. Sean, imagine an OT team with 3 Hughes brothers. You wouldn't see it because Quinn and Luke both play defense, but maybe just for the spectacle of it, they would do it at times. Searle at John Woodson. Toronto gets rid of almost anyone who isn't a core piece because of the cap they take up, and they've done diddly dick in the Matthews era. Kyle, I'd be livid if they move Bratt and keep Timo. I'm pretty sure they're keeping both. Jason, no, Mercer's a good player, but we have a lot of small forwards who aren't great at board play. He gets bounced around too much. Woodson, Sean, they better score on the first rush. If not, it's 3-on-0 going the other way. Chico, teams getting over norovirus and they traveled. They didn't look good, but they got a point. I'll take it. I mean, seems to be the story every night now. John Woodson, we are following the Toronto never win a cup model like a book. To some extent, but a lot of teams have done similar things over the years. I mean, you build around, whatever your core is, and we just laid out what the core is here. All right, it's bathroom break time, then we're going to wind this down. I've been on here forever. Shout out to all of you for joining me on this ever so painful evening where your New Jersey Devils came up short. Came up short in Sheldon's homecoming. Devils losing to the Leafs by a score of 4-3 in overtime. Completely painful one. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in 2 minutes. We'll wrap it up. Throw any comments, questions, thoughts, whatever you got. This is the final countdown here. Throw it out there in the comments. I'll get through them when I get back, and then we will call it an evening. Painful night. Be back in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And we are back. Sub fail. I'm about done with Dougie, Palat, and Mercer. Okay. So Woodson said this. We're following the Toronto never won a cup model like a book. And Searle says that must be a very illegible book. Wash them hands. Always wash the hands, Chico. Darth, bye-bye. Bye-bye to you. Chico, Toronto is following Pittsburgh and Chicago's book. The problem is that their stars are divas. They are the stars. Woodson thinks Hughes and Heischer are Leafs core quit in the playoffs. Man. I hope these boys get the right pieces around them and they figure it out. Jason, I guess it must be nice to follow the Florida model, but we don't play that style. Completely agree. I mean, Florida, and we can play a version of that style. They're not committed to it. For whatever reason, like I said, time and time again, there's a switch that it's on and off. It's like, is the physical, violent team going to show up or not? And tonight, I don't think it was there. Chico, Jack body slammed Aho to the ice. Auston Matthews would never. I'll hear a lot of stuff about the score, but I straight up won't hear they're soft or that they quit. Chico, I got to disagree with you, my man. Come on. You're citing the one example. You're citing the one example of Jack being heavier, edgier, more violent from 2 years ago in a playoff game where he basically was tackled and kind of forced into it. That was in May of 2023. That we're a few months away. That was a year and 9 months ago. I mean, overall, I have to say the core is a little bit soft. It is what it is. I think you'd be lying if you said otherwise. SST, Montreal, Columbus, Detroit, Rangers all won. The Devils will be caught. Oh, boy. Chico, they're not soft. They're just bad at rough stuff. They look like third graders out there when they scrum, but they'll scrum. That's the difference. That's why I have faith in this core. Yeah, but Chico, you want them to be the dogs that will initiate the scrum, not react. Proactive versus reactive. As of late, and so far for years now, it's more reactive versus proactive. Florida thrives on that shit. Florida will start it, and it starts with Matthew Tkachuk laying a booming hit on Nico. They'll, get in the goalie, give him a little shove. They'll initiate this stuff, and that's the difference between winners and losers, in my opinion. Marta, what would be a realistic trade that you would make right now, Woodson? Good question from Marta. Be curious to see what Woodson responds to that with. Jay Snow, when's the last time Jack went into a corner? Chico, it's the first example that came to mind, but it's on the biggest stage in hockey, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Great, but that was, again, one example from 2 years ago. That's, I would want an example from like last week or 2 weeks ago, not 2 years ago. Jay Snow, you want them to impose their will onto teams. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Owl PP. Ouch, that loss hurt for Keefe. It should. I don't know if it hurt as much as it should have, but he's definitely can feel it. Chico, the difference is Matthew Tkachuk is completely insane. That's why I want Kadri, but the Flames would never give him up. Yeah, the players like that don't grow on trees. And that's why I wanted Brady so much last summer when I thought it could be realistic when we had the 10th pick as a trade piece. Jay Snow, Florida makes teams play their style. Yes, they do. Kyle, Brady would be a Devil's wet dream. Fully agree. Woodson, they're not soft. They're just bad at rough. Devils fan delusion. The only trade we're doing is a couple bottom six guys, but how many gritty bottom six guys will be available? It'll be expensive. I'd like to keep 2 of our second rounders. That you might be hopeful there, Woodson. We might have to trade one of them. I do think there'll be guys out there that we could get, but you got to give to get. We're not going to just be able to pluck everybody for a late round pick. Depending on who it is, a second rounder might have to be in play. But I'm all for win now moves. If there's no win now moves made, your boy Ace will be very, very, very upset. Very upset indeed, because this roster needs a little tweaking. It definitely is in need of a little tweaking, and we're going to see what Fitzy does. I'm hoping we see some tweaks. I think we will. I think a lot of people are going to complain about them when they're done and, say they wanted to see more. But we'll see. The deadline's about 6.5 weeks away or so. Jay Snow says, I don't care. Use the picks. I want to win. I like it. Chico, I see a Devils team that was 2 bounces away from winning 5 in a row this month, and we're all talking different. That is true, but the reality is, Chico, it didn't go our way, and we are losing these gut-wrenching games, and we need a shakeup of some kind. Chico, now I've been disappointed lately. I don't know why, but the team has been sick. They have been, but at some point, every team deals with adversity, injuries, sickness, whatever it is. You gotta fight through it, and not, and at least when you have a bad patch, don't let it be as bad as the slide we've been on as of late. Since Christmas, it's been brutal. Jason, no, I can't take this losing shit too many seasons of this. No, I feel you, man. I feel you. It's been painful. The losses hit me hard too, especially when it's now, 4 overtime games in a row and we lost 3 of them. Like, damn. It's a painful existence at the moment. SST, it was so nice in the chat, and then Chico appeared with his stupid takes. Oh boy. Jason, no, we haven't been sick since Christmas. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe everyone got some debilitating virus at a team holiday party, and we've never recovered. Chico, Timo Meier is starting to annoy me a bit. I still like him overall, but I need to see some more production. He'll get the points. Woodson, we have 3 second rounders. Use 1 and maybe a 4th rounder. Tanev or similar. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Okay, yeah, 3 second rounders. So use one. Okay, so you're okay with using one. I'm on board with that. Jason says, Chico, they got outplayed tonight. Do you agree? And he said, yeah, they sucked tonight. I said that. And yet still could have won 5 in a row. But could have is a lot of things could have been in life. At some point, the results needs to be there. They haven't been. And close enough is not good enough. Close enough is not good enough. Jay Snow, I'd use all 3 picks. Oh, man, you're super aggressive. I'm definitely aggressive. I don't know that I'm going balls out like that. And I think a lot is going to depend on how the team looks from now until that deadline, right? I mean, if we kind of look like we're just going to limp into the playoffs, I could see the owners telling Fitz, listen, sit back. This is not the year. Hopefully we get in the playoffs. Let's see what they do. And maybe next year will be our year to really tinker and try. I could see something like that happening as well. I think it's fair to say could have when it's been 1-goal games the entire time. Yeah, but there's still losses. Oh, boy. It's a fair point, though. We could get beat 12-0. And Chico would find positivity. I respect the effort. Alex Russo would love a Dylan booming hit like he did against Buffalo in the first game or two. Oh, man, that was a beautiful hit on, I think it was Petrarca that he crushed. And then he fought Alex Tuck. What a great way to start the season. Benjamin, the top 6 are fine. Can we talk about the bottom 6 forwards? That's the problem with this group. Bottom 6 has been invisible. It has been. They have been invisible. And, I'd like to see maybe Hallinan hopefully on the weekend and see what he could do. Maybe he could be part of the solution. I'm not saying he's going to fix everything, but if Hallinan can come out there, bring some physicality, maybe bring a little scoring, it could be a step in the right direction for sure. Kyle says, I agree. Ship all 3. Ari, Auston Matthews and Nylander whipped those home right in front of Keefe's face. That was tough. Yeah. Kyle, if they waste Markie's prime while he's this hot, Fitz needs to go. Markie's really been what a story on the season. Woodson, last time I saw someone as positive as Chico was Mr. Rogers. Jay Snow, no more Keefe going home every day. Stay in Jersey, watch film or something. I'm not going to lie. If I'm being honest, that bothers me a little bit too. I don't know if you said that or someone else did, Jay Snow. It's like, is your head really in the game? If you're doing this, and I get it, he wants to see his family and stuff, but like, my God, it does seem like, you're not fully all in if you're doing this. And maybe we're just, looking for things to point the finger at. I don't know. Kyle says Jacob Markstrom is the window. I like that. Keefe's got to take some punishment too. Chico says there's no way Keefe actually flies home after every game. No, not after every game, Chico, but he's flying back there on off days and stuff. So probably at least once a week on average. I mean, that even though Toronto's a short flight, that's a whole lot of stuff to be focusing on that's not fixing our team. But, who knows, right? No one would be saying, Chico, Jay Snow, we wouldn't be saying shit about this if we were in first place right now. I'm like, oh, he's flying home. Fly home some more. Jay Snow, I said I don't like it. It's too much for me. Just imagine after practice, he's on a plane going home. That's crazy. It's not every day. It's definitely not every day. It's just on off days. Once a week, I can let go. Jason, he said today he's always flying back after practice. There's no way he does after every practice. I'd like to hear the quote. Maybe after some practice, but there's no way he's doing this after he would die. That's not a sustainable thing. John Woodson, I don't believe this team has one tough love practice. I hope you're wrong, but you could be right. There's no way to really check that, I don't think. All right, that's it, guys. We came, we saw, we commiserated. The Devils, a tragic loss. Absolutely tragic loss. Another Jacob Markstrom wasted start, in my opinion. And we blew the lead 3 times. Found a way to blow the lead 3 times. Your New Jersey Devils fall by a score of 4-3 in overtime. And hopefully they bounce back and win both these games at the Rock this weekend. I mean, these are huge games now. Philly on Saturday afternoon. Sens on Sunday afternoon. Got to get back in the win column. Got to have something to feel good about. This has been disastrous since the Christmas break, and it sucks. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back soon. Lots of exciting stuff in the works, and all of you have a good night, a good morning, whatever the hell time zone you're in. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Hit the thumbs up on your way out, guys. Come on, hit the thumb. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.